Bore da gyfeillion. Mae'r Scots wedi dangos eu dynedd a maen nhw'n cwmpo dros y gilydd i roi popeth i nhw nawr. Mae'n hen bryd i ni wneud yr un peth yma yng Nghymru. The Scots have shown their teeth and Westminster have fallen over themselves to give them everything. It's about time we did the same here in Wales. Those are the words of my father a few weeks after the independence referendum in Scotland back in September. In the last week or so, the Bishop of St Asaph has said that the government cannot dodge the questions about the future of Wales any longer and has called for what he branded a serious debate about independence and the role of the Welsh government. He said, and I quote, "There now needs to be a serious debate about what sort of future we want for Wales. Would independence make any sense? What powers do we want in the long term for a Welsh government? Should our Assembly be recognised as a fully empowered Parliament? I do not believe that these questions can be dodged any longer. I would like to use St David's Day to call for a lively debate. At the very least, what is offered to the Scots should be on offer for all the nations of Britain. It is all very well for the Prime Minister to throw us the occasional morsel, but the Welsh really need to be invited to the table with the Scots." Those were his words. And why should Wales and the Welsh people accept anything less than what Scotland and the people of Scotland have been promised? Why should Wales accept third-rate devolution? Last week, Westminster had the chance to deliver devolution, proper and meaningful devolution of powers to the people of Wales. It had the chance to deliver equality of devolution to the people of Wales. But it fell far short of what we should be entitled to expect. It fell far short of what Plaid Cymru believes would pave the way to strengthen and empower our communities. It also falls far short of the funding settlement that would see Wales on a par with Scotland. With 60-odd days until the general election, I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be standing here addressing a Plaid Cymru conference as a candidate for the Cynon Valley. But that is the reality. It's been mentioned many times, but there's every likelihood that following the election in May, the Plaid Cymru could well be holding the balance of power. And we need to use that opportunity to get the best possible deal for Wales. Only a strong team of Plaid Cymru MPs will ensure that Wales doesn't get ignored. Only a strong team of Plaid Cymru MPs will ensure that Wales will get the best deal. It is only Plaid Cymru that will stand up for Wales. Only a vote for the Party of Wales will ensure parity with Scotland and ensure the £1.2 billion funding gap is closed. Only a vote for the Party of Wales will mean that £100 billion across its lifetime would be saved by scrapping the Trident missile system. Only a vote for the Party of Wales would ensure that we aren't facing years more of austerity and £30 billion worth of further cuts, which will undoubtedly cause more distress and hardship to the communities of Wales. And since 2010, we've been in this period of austerity, a period which has seen the UK's debt rise to £1.4 trillion and is still continuing to rise. Austerity is not the answer. Austerity is the problem, not the solution. It is hitting not only the most vulnerable in society, but it has proved that it can hit anyone at any time. For those that know me, they'll know that my background is the Fire and Rescue Service, and I'm the Secretary of the Fire Brigades Union in Wales. Now, my office is in the centre of Cardiff, and a couple of weeks ago, I found myself engaged in conversation with someone who'd found themselves homeless in our capital city. And that's kind of become a theme of late, and as usual, I'm not going to pass them by, and I'll always offer to buy them a hot drink and something to eat. That day was a little different in that the person had already been bought a coffee and a sausage roll. So instead, I sat with him and asked him what had happened that had left him in this situation. He told me that he'd become unemployed, and this had placed strain on the family relationship, which had eventually seen the breakdown of his marriage. He had unfortunately been late for an appointment, which had seen him have sanctions imposed on his welfare payments. His appeal wouldn't be for another fortnight, and it left him with absolutely nothing. His life had turned upside down overnight, and to add insult to injury, this government's sanctions meant he had nothing to live on. He was now on the streets begging to try and find enough money to afford bed and breakfast accommodation, begging to buy something to eat and drink, just to keep himself going. And his description of waking in the morning following a cold night on the streets will live with me for a long, long time. His whole story was told with a tear in both his eyes and mine. To think that someone's life can change in an instant, and the very people who should be protecting us have cast him aside without a second glance. As I sat with him, there were people who passed by and gave him some money. Others offered to buy him something to eat and drink. And it proved to me that there are some people, some good people out there. I witnessed that. Unfortunately, we're governed by an elite group who are only concerned with their own greed, only concerned with their own lavish lifestyles. That is the harsh reality of austerity. Whilst there are those who claim £39 from the taxpayer for their breakfast, are having their moat cleaned at the expense of the taxpayer, or charging upwards of £5,000 for access to influential people, or to ask the right questions to the right people, there are others who are trying to make themselves as comfortable as possible for another night on the street. That is the harsh reality of this government's austerity programme. Austerity has hit and will continue to have a detrimental effect on the public services that we all, especially the most vulnerable in society, depend on from day to day. In the Fire and Rescue Service, we've seen budgets being continually squeezed. In South Wales, we've seen the recent closures of Porth and Blaid fire stations. The downgrading of other stations and the loss of frontline firefighter posts is a reality. In North Wales, we're facing a possible closure of 9 fire stations, the loss of 17 fire engines, and the further loss of 228 firefighter posts. When is it going to stop? When will the time come that we no longer attend life-threatening situations? The Fire and Rescue Service is being decimated. And it's well known and well documented that there are major failings in the Welsh Ambulance Service and the Welsh NHS because of the way our services have been underfunded by the Tories and mismanaged by Labour. Labour has been in charge of our health service for over a decade in Wales and is failing to deliver. Ambulance response times are falling short month after month. Waiting lists are scandalously high. Services are having to be withdrawn because of staff shortages. This is not acceptable. It's also unacceptable that the Tories are using the NHS in Wales as a political football, without any regard for the patients who use the NHS and for the staff who work incredibly hard. And I'd like to pay tribute to those staff today. Back last August, I was knocked off my bike, and although I wasn't badly hurt, I was treated at the roadside by 2 paramedics who were nothing short of outstanding. And they ended up taking me to the Royal Glamorgan Hospital in Llantrisant, where again I was given the very best of care by some amazing people. So I know, and I've witnessed firsthand, the magnificent job that these truly wonderful people carry out on a daily basis. Now, I wouldn't advocate you falling off a bike to try it. Just take my word for it. So, while the Tories and Labour continue this spat over the NHS, it's only Plaid Cymru that is coming up with concrete proposals to save and strengthen our NHS. More ambulances, nurses and paramedics to ensure that you get the urgent treatment you need when you need it most. Only the Party of Wales has pledged to fund an extra 1,000 doctors in Wales to cut waiting times for your GP and hospital. On the 2nd of February, I was one of a delegation of FBU members who attended a debate in Parliament with regards to the ongoing firefighter pensions dispute. And we were referred to as the militant wing of the FBU. Well, as a firefighter, I can tell you that I know what it means to put others first. We know what it means to step forward and face a problem. And I'll make no apologies, either as a trade unionist or, if I'm elected as a Plaid Cymru MP, to be a thorn in the side of the Westminster establishment parties. If, on May the 7th, I'm lucky enough and privileged enough to be elected as MP for the Cynon Valley, then I will continue that fight. I will continue to stand up for a community that deserves no less. The Cynon Valley, the valley I seek to represent, has been taken for granted by Labour for far too long and has been left to the mercy of this cruel coalition government. Plaid's priorities in this election will bring about jobs, will secure investment, and will give hope to the thousands of young people who are crying out for a future. That's what working for Wales means. Only Plaid Cymru will stand up for the communities of Wales. Only Plaid Cymru will stand up for Wales, for a stronger Wales. Dros Gymru gryfach, ymlaen.